I don't care what anyone says. Night shifts at fast food places are a different world. If you've ever worked one, you get it. Time feels weird. Customers are weirder. You're tired, the floor's always greasy, and half the time you're cleaning at 2 a.m. just to stay awake. I worked at a burger place just off the highway, open 24 hours. Graveyard shift. Me, one cook in the back, and sometimes a manager who locked themselves in the office and barely came out. That's where I saw him for the first time. He came in just before 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. Tall guy, pale, black windbreaker, baseball cap pulled low. Said nothing. Walked straight to booth 3, the one near the side window, and sat down. Didn't order anything. Didn't look at the menu, didn't pull out his phone. Just sat there, perfectly still. Hands on the table, eyes forward. At first, I figured he was waiting on someone. I gave it 10 minutes, then went over and asked if he wanted anything. He shook his head without looking up. Weird, but whatever. He left about an hour later, didn't say a word, didn't leave trash, just stood up and walked out into the dark like he'd been reset. The next night, he came back. Same time, same clothes, same booth. Still didn't order, and then it became a thing. Every night. Always at 1:57 a.m. Always booth 3. Never ate, never drank, never said a single word, and look, I get it. Maybe he was just lonely, or tired, or needed a place to sit. I tried not to let it bother me, but there was something about how still he was, like too still. Not bored, not zoning out, just watching. Not me, but the whole space, like he was waiting for something that hadn't arrived yet. Eventually, I stopped trying to talk to him, and that's when the weird stuff started. One night, I came in for my shift, and booth 3 was already occupied. A couple kids from the late-night bar crowd. I didn't think anything of it, until he came in. He walked in like always, saw someone sitting there, and just stood in the middle of the restaurant, staring at the booth, frozen, for like a full minute. Then he turned around and left. Didn't come back for 3 days. When he finally did, booth 3 was empty again. He sat down without hesitation, stayed his usual hour, left. That night I decided to watch him more closely, like really watch, and the longer I did, the more I noticed little things. He didn't blink much. He barely shifted his weight, and I swear, his head was always turned just slightly toward the security camera, the one in the corner that didn't even work. I don't know why that messed with me so much, but it did. One night, I came in for my shift and found a receipt sitting on the counter. It was from the register I used, time-stamped for 1:45 a.m., 12 minutes before I arrived. Item list, large drink, table service. But the order never went through the system. The receipt paper looked legit. It even had my employee number on it. I walked over to booth 3. The drink was there, untouched. Ice barely melted. I asked the manager if they'd opened early. They hadn't. No other employee had clocked in yet. The footage from the camera skipped from 1:30 straight to 2:03. The guy came in like always, sat down, didn't react to the drink already being there, like it was expected. I started to dread going in after that, and I mean really dread it, like a stomach ache. Cold sweat dread. Every time the clock hit 1:55, I'd start looking at the door without even meaning to. I told myself I'd confront him. Demand to know what he was doing, why he came, why he always sat in that booth. But I didn't. And I still regret that. Because one night, he just didn't show up. 1:57 came and went. Booth 3 stayed empty. The weirdest part, I felt worse. I kept checking the clock, the door, the windows, but nothing. That same night, a woman came in around 3 a.m., said she was a reporter for a small-town crime blog, told me she'd heard about the man in booth 3. I asked how. She said he was her brother. Disappeared 10 years ago, was last seen leaving a fast food joint just like this one, in a completely different state. Same time, same behavior, sat in a booth, didn't eat, didn't speak, and then vanished. She said she got a tip from someone online that he'd been seen here. I asked if she had a picture. She pulled it up. It was him. Exactly him. But the photo was from 1998. That's not even the part that gets me. What gets me is what happened the next night. Booth 3 was empty again, except for a folded napkin sitting in the middle of the table. I picked it up, written inside in tiny block letters. "Thanks for letting me stay. This happened last year, when I was working drive-thru at a fast food place near the edge of town. Not one of those busy ones with long lines and double lanes, just a small, old location off a quiet road. The kind of place where most of the night shift is dead quiet and half your job is cleaning things that don't even look dirty. I was usually on the headset. Night shifts ran lean, just me at the window and 1 or 2 people in the back. It started with a note. One night, around 11:30, a black car pulled up to the speaker. It didn't stop to order, just rolled slowly through, all the way up to the window. The guy inside wore a hoodie and sunglasses, even though it was pitch black out. He didn't say anything, didn't even look at me. He just held out a folded piece of paper. I opened it. It said, "You gave me the wrong order last time, fix it." No name, no specifics, nothing. I said, do you have a receipt?" He didn't answer, just stared straight ahead. After maybe 10 seconds, he drove off. I didn't think much of it. People are weird, especially late-night customers. You get all kinds of strange interactions. I tossed the note in the trash and moved on. The next night, same thing, same black car, same time. This time, he didn't hand me a note. I just held up a brown paper bag through the window. I opened it. Inside was a half-eaten burger, completely cold. There was another note tucked inside. "This isn't what I ordered." Still no receipt, no name. I told him again, "Sir, we can't do anything without a receipt." He didn't even blink, just drove away again. I started to feel uneasy. It wasn't just that he was quiet. It was how still he was, how deliberate, like he wasn't just a pissed-off customer, like he was performing something. I mentioned it to the shift lead. He brushed it off. Probably just some idiot looking for free food. Third night, it got weirder. I was mid-shift when I heard someone knock, not at the window, but on the side wall of the drive-thru lane. The wall that runs alongside the kitchen. I leaned out and looked. There was the guy, not in his car this time, just standing outside the lane in the shadows, hoodie up. I called out, "Can I help you?" He didn't say anything. Then he raised his arm slowly and placed another bag on the brick ledge next to him. Then he walked away, quiet, calm, like he wasn't even in a hurry. I waited until he was out of sight before grabbing the bag. It was empty, except for another note. "You'll get it right eventually." I took that one to the manager. He said if it happened again, we'd file a report. But that meant waiting for it to happen again. Spoiler, it did. A few nights later, I was alone at the window. Our cook was in the back. The headset crackled. I heard breathing first. Then a low voice said, "You remember me?" I froze. "Who is this?" No response. Just breathing. Then a faint laugh. Not dramatic, more like he was amused. I checked the lot. No cars. Then the lights at the far end of the drive-thru flickered out for a second. And I saw him, just standing near the bushes behind the dumpster. Watching, I radioed the manager. He came up to the window, but the guy was gone by then. Vanished. We pulled security footage. You could barely make him out in the shadows. Just a figure in a hoodie, but the part that messed me up? His face wasn't visible, but the camera caught his hand clearly. He was holding a drive-through order ticket, one from our system, with my name printed on it. I hadn't printed anything yet that shift. We thought maybe it was a glitch. Maybe he had an old ticket somehow. But I knew every ticket I'd printed that week. That one wasn't one of them. The next night I didn't work. I asked to switch shifts, just needed a break. Around 11:45, I got a text from my coworker on the headset. All it said was, "He asked for you by name." I quit a week later, moved to another job across town, didn't say anything to anyone about it, just left. I figured that was the end of it. Until about a month ago, I stopped at a totally different fast food place, one I've never worked at, just to grab a coffee. I was about to pull up to the speaker when I noticed the car in front of me. Black sedan, no plates, it didn't order, just idled. Then the driver leaned out the window and handed something to the worker, a brown paper bag. Then he pulled away. I inched forward, trying to see if it was him, but couldn't. The windows were too dark. When I got to the window, the girl working handed me my drink. Then looked confused and said, "Oh, and this is for you too." She handed me a folded note. I opened it right there in the car. "You gave me the wrong order. I haven't been back since." If you've ever worked closing shift at a fast food place, you know it gets weird at night. The dining room's empty, the lights are half off. You start hearing things, fans, pipes, little creaks that sound way louder when no one's talking. But this wasn't that kind of weird. This happened when I worked at a small burger place just off a frontage road. It wasn't part of a big chain, no cameras, old registers. You had to mop the tile with one hand while holding the back door shut with the other. That kind of place. I usually closed alone, just me and one guy in the kitchen. The first time it happened, I didn't think much of it. I was finishing up trash duty and went to take out the bags. The back door's this heavy steel thing with a deadbolt that sticks if you don't turn it just right. You really have to yank it to open. That night, it opened like butter. I paused. Thought, did I already unlock this? But I didn't remember doing it. In fact, I was sure I hadn't even been back there yet. I looked around outside, nothing but dumpsters and a row of bushes that backed up against an empty field. I shrugged it off, figured maybe my coworker had used it earlier and forgot to relock it. I bolted it and moved on. The next night, it was unlocked again, same thing. I reached for the handle and it just opened. I asked the kitchen guy if he'd used it. He said no. Swore up and down he hadn't even gone near it. That's when I started checking it at the beginning of every shift. I'd lock it, test it, tug on it to be sure. But hours later, when it was time to take the trash out, unlocked. Every single time. We didn't have cameras and the manager didn't care. Just keep it locked during the day, he said. Probably a bad latch. No one seemed worried but me. Then things started getting a little harder to explain. I'd come in for my shift and the fryers would already be warm. Not on, but warm. Like someone had turned them on and then quickly shut them off. One night, I found the mop bucket already filled. Another time, the register screen was flickering like it had just been woken up from sleep mode. But no one else was scheduled that day. And here's where it really started to get under my skin. I have a name tag I kept clipped inside the break room cubby. Had my name printed on it, Sharpie writing wearing off. One night, it was gone. I figured someone grabbed it by accident. Next shift, I found it. Not in the cubby, it was sitting on the counter in the kitchen. next to a different name tag, same shape, same font, but the name printed on it wasn't anyone who worked there. Kyle. We didn't have a Kyle. I asked around. No one knew who that was. I put the tag in the manager's drawer and went back to work. That night, the back door was wide open when I went to take out the trash. I don't mean unlocked, I mean propped open with the brick we kept nearby for deliveries. I told my coworker. He looked pale and didn't say much. We locked it, triple-checked it. I even dragged a trash can in front of it that night. I stayed late to finish cleaning. He left around midnight. Around 12:40, I heard something shift behind the fryers, like a foot dragging lightly on tile. I called out, "Hello?" No answer. I stepped around the counter. Nothing there. I looked toward the break room and saw light spilling out under the door. It had been dark a minute ago. I grabbed the mop and slowly pushed the door open. No one inside, but on the break table there was a receipt. It wasn't printed from the register. It looked handwritten, like someone scribbled it on receipt paper. It just said, "Thanks for covering my shift." I left everything and walked out. Didn't lock up, didn't turn off the lights. I just got in my car and drove. I quit 2 days later. The manager didn't ask why, but a few weeks after that, one of my old coworkers texted me. Said he came in one night, opened the break room, and found 2 uniforms laid out side by side on the bench. One with his name tag. The other, Kyle. He asked the manager about it. The manager laughed and said, "Oh yeah, Kyle used to close here years ago. Quiet guy." He paused. Disappeared during a shift. Back door was unlocked.